Hi guys, Wilo Host here, and today I'm going to show you this operating system called Linux Mint. Now, basically I'm just going to kind of show off what it is for those who are on Windows. Now, a computer operating system is basically the environment in which the computer is operating in. Okay, so it has an effect on how it looks, the appearance, how it's set up, how applications run, and how it goes with the computer's hardware and how does it be able to run software. That's an operating system. Now, there are many types of operating systems. You have Windows, you have Mac, and then you have Linux. Okay, Windows is the mainstream one, the most common one because every computer has it, comes with it pre-installed. Mac OS is a little bit less popular, mainly because it's mainly specifically for like people who have a lot of money to spend on their like overpriced computers. And then you have Linux, which is used by some people, but it's a bit because it's open source. It's not commercially sold as much, and there are some people. It's not as known as much. It's been around for quite a bit of time, but it's less of an operating system, or rather a kernel. A kernel is basically the bare minimum needed to run programs. It doesn't have any like graphical user interfaces and all that other stuff. All of this stuff you're seeing right here on my display is a part of an operating system, operating environment called Linux Mint, which uses the Linux kernel to run software, but it's open source, it's free to use. And that's like the bare founding base blocks of computer software for a machine like this. Now, this is very similar to Windows, and I'm just going to show you kind of how some of the programs just kind of work on this. So we have a start menu right here. There's a start menu, very similar to how it would do on Windows. Very similar to Windows. You have a taskbar, okay? Again, you can put programs on it using like that. Obviously, you have Wi-Fi connection, wireless fidelity. I can connect my Wi-Fi account on here. I have, you update things, pretty easy to update, just install updates. Now, when you launch up you're most likely going to see something like this. If I can actually pull it up. It doesn't show. I want to start using it, but whatever. But it's very similar to Windows because we have a lot of programs. So I have some programs on here. This is my installation of it. I have Wine. Wine is the program that allows Windows applications to run on Linux. It converts the executable files and the APIs of Windows to a more Linux friendly, so it can run some of the software that you may want to run on Windows, but on Linux. Doesn't run every program. It really depends on what program you're running. There are other programs that you can use, like for example, Bottles, which is another compatibility program that lets you run compatible with Windows-based applications. If it will launch up here, I'm just gonna start it up right here. This is just basically downloading. I can basically just launch up different programs. But you click here, add. You add it. You can do different things like applications, video games, three-dimensional applications. There are different runners depending on like what you want. If your software doesn't run properly, you can just switch it. So it will run some games from Windows. Like for example, if I wanted to run like Epic Games Store, or I wanted to run like Epic Games Store. If I wanted to run like Autodesk Maya or 3ds Max, Microsoft Word, some programs that are Windows only, it allows you to have some compatibility with that, but not always. But so it's really, but it is improving, so it is gonna get better. We also have other programs on here. We have GIMP, which is basically like Photoshop but free to use. And as you can tell, I can just like get an image like right here. I can like go open up one thing like here, and I'm just gonna go get let's get one of my wallpapers here. Vote. I got this basic image here. This is just one of my images I have here. I can basically very similar to how you would in Photoshop. I can either do this fuzzy select, when I select just all of this. I can do that. I can select the entire, if I wanted to, I could select this if I wanted to. But I'm just click shift on this. If I want to, I can actually Control C, Control V. I can manipulate it, and I can change the color of it. Like, let me go ahead and make it more of a orange type temperature. It's not orange, it's very blue. No, let's not do that. I'm gonna go ahead and do something different with this. Let's add in some noise. A lot of noise. I can add in some noise in this. Like I can do manipulation like this. If I go here, I can go by. If I can, okay, whatever. I'm gonna have to add layer or whatever. But I can also do like I can just draw an image, basic drawing. Okay, so there's a lot of things you can do with this. Very similar to Photoshop. A lot of layers, codes. You know, you can have codes in here. So if I wanted to like raise the midtones ridiculously high to make it look horrible like this, I can make it look really bad. But there's some other ones here. A ton of different stuff that you can do with this. Let's go to cubism. What that would do. If this would load up, yeah, I can make it more cubey. It's kind of interesting. Whatever. Let's take this card out of this application. Then I have a program called Inkscape. This is like Adobe Illustrator, but again, free to use. Different things: print, screen, video. So if I wanted to do like an animation, I can technically do that and just draw something for an animation if I wanted to. This is not an animation program. So you would want to use something like Krita if you want to do the animation stuff. But this is, it does a lot of like different shapes. I can do like different, I can just do basic shapes here. I can draw on here. I can just draw like some different objects here. Just use something like that. You have, different text. I'm just gonna make this really big. Like, just make it really big. Just kind of make it real big, and just kind of play with the fonts. Which there are plenty of fonts. Depends on what software you use. Some software has more fonts than others. But yeah, again, it's very similar to that. We have a lot of blow-up bumps. In fact, if you see the Xbox Game Wall, the original one I had, I actually made it using the software. So yeah. And then I have my Office software, which again, it's not natively compatible. It doesn't natively run it. It's running the online version, but what I do is I go to internet, use this thing called web app through here, and I just basically like type in like the URL of if I go like let's go launch in my Firefox. If this thing just loads. If I go to like Word, like if I just go to let's say Word, all I need to do is just Control C or copy this, and then I can go over here. I can just add something here, and I can put the addresses. And I could actually add an icon if I wanted to. I got a few icons, like if I wanted to just take my, go downwards. Like I can do different icons. I could do like, put an icon and stuff like that. Different icons for whatever my online things it does. It's very similar, and it's not that difficult to do. It's pretty easy to do anyway. Again, it's not much different than what it is running it on the software on like a computer. Like it's literally it's literally the same thing. If this can actually load up, come on, yes. Like I can just type it. Again, it's gonna be very similar to that voice. Like, okay. That. Now, so let me just go to. Okay. We also have Grammarly integrated into this. You still have. If I can just get cool. But again, it's literally just how it is on the Windows application. Instead of it's just running in the web browser. It's literally the same thing. I can just ask in, I don't know, let me, why is the sky blue? Yeah, it just looks like that. If you need more like photo editing software, there is another program that's on the web browser. It's called Photopea, which is very similar to Photoshop. I'm gonna load it up. It can generate AI too if I wanted to do AI. I don't really like AI too much, but it does have AI in there. You can do content aware scale, content aware fill. It looks just like Photoshop, but it's just free. It doesn't cost any money. Science. We got Floating at Home. Floating at Home is a scientific computing program that lets you use that basically uses the internet, okay, connecting multiple computers across the entire World Wide Web to compute scientific calculations for various different diseases. Like, if I'm gonna show off like what I have here, this is mine. Now, it's not doing anything right now. Unfortunately, it's not doing anything. But I should be able to go ahead and come on in. Let me just do this project. Why is it not doing anything? Let me change this off idle. But we can basically do things for Alzheimer's, cancer, diabetes, different diseases, you know. We can also allocate how much resources we want to use depending on if I don't want to erase a whole bunch of power. Like for me, I run it like maybe 4 out of 12 just because I don't want to use too much of my processing power. Now I have my graphics card used, but again, sometimes I don't use it because again, it does use more power. But flip screen, why isn't it showing up right now? I don't know, the client's not working right now. It should work, but it's having issues. Whatever, I don't understand why this is not doing what I want to do. But okay. It's not that big of a deal. Video wise, go to YouTube. Just testing out YouTube on here. For the record, I'm running this using a capture card for the sake of not go to like, let's just go to, say I want to just load up my own let's go in this video here. Yeah, I'm just gonna run it like 1080p. Actually, let's run it 4K. And I'm just gonna stats the nodes, see how many frame rate drops are happening. Yeah, it's not dropping any frames, so 4K video plays back just fine. I'm gonna show that. Audacity, got Audacity there. Another thing, you know, VLC Media, show you some other field. But installation of programs are pretty easy. There's a software manager that lets you just download applications. Very similar to like an app store on like your iPhone. So it'll be the software that we have here. So we got accessories. We got like different accessories for like, you know, if we want to do like file system clients for like, if you want to set up like a home server, you know, you can do desktop interfaces. There are a lot of open like, street software for like, you know, Google Maps. Internet programs we have here. We got, let me show off the program that actually makes sense to show off. Bionic is another one of these floating at home like programs. But your Firefox, if I can go show off Chrome, why not Chrome? Yeah, this Chrome as well. We also have Chrome. So if you want to use that, that works too. Okay. You know, for sound and video, we have programs like Mumble, which gets voice over IP, so like, you know, voice, like, you know, communication. MP3 importing libraries. We got some different media applications. We got an animation package. What the heck? Create animations and movie as part of single frames. Oh yeah. Okay, so if you want to do animation on it, you can actually do animation on Linux. There's Linux Multimedia Studio, which is basically like kind of like Ableton or FL Studio, but again free to use. You'll see the boning software we have here. We can edit Audacity. We have disc jockey interface, so if you want to do some DJing, instead of using the traditional software, this is free to use. It doesn't cost any money. I like to be really clear. A lot of the software, all the software that you see in the software manager, and what you're seeing on here is all free software. It doesn't cost any money. It doesn't cost anything. So it's all free software. So there's no real reason to really waste all money on this. FluidSense, we got synthesizers, different stuff we have here. We have plenty of software. Office-wise, we have LibreOffice, OpenOffice. LibreOffice is most closely to Microsoft Office, just like Microsoft. It does the same thing, but it runs natively on hardware. We got PDF software. Like if I wanted to get like a PDF files. Why isn't that? It should be, you should be able to have that. Not a big deal. Because a lot of the time the web browser will just be fine with that anyway. System tools. We got some more customability stuff, sudo app. Again, super user, that's what sudo is. Basically administrator. App is basically has more to do with like letting you download applications. This is more computing, more like just kind of the more in the weeds, like settings and stuff. Again, this is more complex, but there are different configuration tools that let you configure the desktop icons. You can customize a whole bunch of stuff, like the actual environment. You can install different environments on here. If we can see what different environments I can kill. And then there are like some games you can download. Like you can get Solitaire. So if you like Solitaire, you can play that on here. There is a free Electron game, so I can show right here. Again, this is also one of the main reasons why I'm using a capture card as opposed to doing it, because I don't want to have any performance loss. But it's like Tron. It's very Tron-like. It's actually pretty cool. But you can actually kind of just play around, and you try to like, it's like Snake. It's very similar to like that of Snake, where you try to like, you try to like get them to, you try to get them stuck into you. Yes. Yeah. I won. Okay, that's good. Great. That's that game. That's one game. We also have another game called Super Text Kart. This is like Mario Kart. It's very similar to Mario Kart. Let me just play. It's just math on Again, it's a free game. Doesn't cost any money. Oh shit! Oh crap! Sorry. But again, it's just like Mario Kart, and we can. I don't know if we can. Fuck that people! I can't. Okay, that's kind of cool. Okay, that's enough of that. Obviously, this is not the best graphics in the world. It actually does have better graphical settings. I'm just running them at the medium-low settings because my computer is not that powerful. Now, for the record, this computer software, Linux, will run on pretty much almost any computer. It will literally run on a computer from like 2003. Like, legitimately. I'm not joking. It can run on a machine with like a gigabyte of RAM, a single core processor. Like, I'm talking old computer. You don't have to like replace your machine. You may thinking that because Windows 11 requiring TPM and all that other crap, and how Windows 10 is out of support, you have to buy a new computer. You install Linux on it, it will actually make it into a better computer. If you have a Chromebook and your Chromebook is not supported anymore, you can actually like install Linux on it, and it will make it better. In a lot of ways, you can have more compatibility than that of Chrome OS. Unlike Chromebooks can't do anything. At least Linux can do stuff. It can actually run some programs, and there's a lot of customability to it. Let me go to. Let me show some more stuff here. We got printing. We can print those. We can configure those. Power statistics in Power operating software. lets us control power, fingerprinting, driver manager, which is one of the first things you want to do when you download this application. This ensures that all your peripherals and your keyboard, everything is supported. It runs just fine. Should be fine. And then there's an update manager right here. That's right here. And it's similar. So just how it is on Windows, very similar. Disk users, backup tools, basically backing up files very easily. Fingerprints, you can do fingerprint management. Some monitors, so you can monitor your computing resources. So if there's like too many programs running, so I can see how much CPU utilization. We're using 1.7 gigabytes of RAM right now. Normally, if you're running Windows 11, Windows uses like at minimum like 8 gigs of RAM, but this operating system is actually using only like 2 gigabytes. So it's actually a lot more optimized compared to Windows 11. But I can also like just quit out of certain things. If I don't want certain things, I can end the process. Different file systems and stuff, different hard drives here. Terminal. If God forbid you have to do any modifications with the terminal, generally you don't have to worry about this too much, unless you really want to customize stuff. But obviously for most people, I don't expect people to want to be doing like this. I don't expect that many people to want to do this. This is another way of installing programs. You just type in sudo app install any given application and it should download. Assuming that's compatible with Linux, and it will let you do that. But this is like more of the more kind of technical, kind of more difficult to do ways. It's not as easy as just the software manager. So really, this is really if you're like a tech savvy person. If you're just kind of more so casual, and you just want to use a computer to do the computer, I'll just use the software manager. So there's that. Let's go here. Let me just show you some other stuff here. You got accessibility. There's a lot of accessibility in here. So we can change it to eye contrast. So if you are hard of seeing, you can do that. Zooms, large text, keyboard assistance, on-screen keyboards, typing assistance. You can do bouncy keys. You can do mouse clicks. If I go to account and doing password details, stuff like that. Then have images on as well. Again, this is very similar to that of Windows XP. It literally is so similar to Windows XP or Windows 7. I'm not joking. It's so similar to it. Color, we can do different colors. We can make the everything. Well, actually, just have more color management. That's the colors of the display. Whatever. We're not okay with that. Background, we can do different backgrounds on here. It comes with some of them pre-installed, like I can use different backgrounds here. I got some backgrounds that I've downloaded myself, but by itself, it comes with these basic ones right here. I'm going to go back to my operating system, go back to images. There's also some that come with it too. There's all these different wallpapers, but I can do some stuff like I make it beautiful, pretty. Look at how pretty that is. Let's do this one. Go that way. Okay, cool. Then let's go to preferences. Back to preferences. Decklets, disk, module, hard drive, formatting stuff, display, how you set up the resolution, effects. You can control effects. So if your computer is a little bit more doesn't have the best graphics, you can actually kind of like disable this, depending on how high-end your machine is. So it's very customizable. Keyboard, mouse, and trackpad. Customize how fast trackpad is, networking, online accounts. But the fun one I like the most is there's a welcome screen which will show up every time once you install the operating system. It will show this just kind of help you get set up home. System screenshots. This is very similar to that of like system restore on Windows. Driver updates, stuff like that. System settings, firewall, documentation. If you don't really understand how to use anything you don't know, there's a ton of documentation. That should load up, which again, there's a ton of documentation on how to use it. It's very easy to use. These notes that kind of tell you the different features that that show up with this. Updated features, updated notes, that kind of stuff. You can contribute if you want to. You can donate to this if you want to help out. I really strongly recommend that you do. If you do know computer programming, I do strongly recommend that you do try to develop software. because I think it's really good to have a more open world where people can just use software without having to worry so much about all this all these issues. I think it should be more open to everyone as opposed to Windows where it's all closed off and very just monopolistic, that kind of thing. Let me just show Kden Live. Kden Live is a video editing application. This lets you do video work. It's similar to that of like Adobe Premiere. It should load up. Did it crash? No, I didn't get that. Come on, watch. Again, it's just like a video editing application. It does the same stuff. We have conversation, we give an effects, effects, audio effects, basic stuff. It's basically editing. We also have a color. We can also do color correction as well in this software as well. Again, it's slightly different from it, but it does bring the same stuff. It's free to use. Now the fun part of it. Let me show the funnest part of this. And this is what I love showing: the themes. Now there are a ton of themes for this software. I can go to here and I can different themes we have. I can do this to make it look like Windows 98, Windows 95. We got Cinnamon. These are stuff that you can download yourself. You can download your own themes. Chili's to make it more figure or arrow, so like Windows 7. Cinemax. Elegance Dock. Faded Dream, more like Windows 7 like operating system. We have Fluent, again more like Windows 10. Low Key, which is more in line with something like Mac OS X, like the old versions of that. We have Windows XP. Ooh, that Bliss wallpaper. I know a lot of people love Windows XP. I love Windows XP myself. Zone OS. Hey, there's this one. I can do this one. It looks more like Spider-Man. Spider-Void. Got this one here. Ton of stuff we can do with this. Ton of them. Now, what I'm going to run is I'm going to run the semi-transparent. Yeah, semi-transparent. It's really beautiful. I love this. And, we have that. Didn't file manual, basically like that. Let me just go off and try to see. What about Windows compatibility? I know some people are going to be like, oh, can I play games on this? Yes, you can. But it depends on what game you're playing. If it's like a multiplayer game, it would depend on if it's using like what type of anti-cheat it is. If it's easy anti-cheat, it should work. But other ones may have issues. But most games should work. Like about 70-80% of the Steam library should be compatible with Linux. But let me just to kind of show you for proof of concept, let me try to like download Steam on here. No emulation software too. That Proton Plus. So again, lets you do compatibility. If you want more compatibility with software, all of this should help you do that. There's emulation software like GBA, GameCube. So I'm gonna play that on here. Steam. Well, I can download Steam on here. So there's Steam. It should download. It's gonna take some time though. This computer is from like 2019. It's still not the highest end machine ever. It's pretty old. And that's why I installed Linux, because unlike Windows, it just kind of lags up a little bit. The minute I installed Linux on this, surprisingly, it's a lot faster. It actually is so much faster. Like this operating system is actually not bad. Now I'm not gonna install it on my desktop, mainly because I do use Adobe Premiere and Adobe Photoshop, which are not necessarily compatible with this. And I already paid for it, right? I paid for the software, so it doesn't really make sense for me doing this. But if you're just like doing basic tasks like browsing and checking email, casual gaming, it's perfectly fine for that. It's actually very good. And hopefully, please, for the love of God, Adobe, if you're watching this video, please make a version for Linux. I really want you to do that. Please, I'm begging you. Please do that. Like, please, Adobe, you can do it. Or somebody needs to make it where wine is compatible with Linux, or where you can run Adobe. Can someone do that? Please, I need someone to do that. That'll be really beneficial because I really want to use Linux and I really want to start using this operating system a lot more. But the one thing stopping me is because of the Adobe. So please, if you know anything about development, please do that. Let me show you Adobe. This is so annoying. Checking for updates. Gotta update now. It's gotta take forever.
Check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Into some of the hip hop music I'm gonna listen to while that. Now, if I can show you just some things that you can run. So, most people, you don't have to actually buy a new computer. A lot of times, you can just use Linux, man. Just install it anywhere, just run it. Be a lot faster than that. And just go on eBay. And if you want to buy, okay. If you want to run a computer and you're trying to buy something, and you do need to buy a machine, you can, go on internet. I recommend. My God, why is stupid phones so fast? But if you just go on, you can go on eBay. What I recommend doing is that, a lot of people tend to kind of like when they go computer shopping, they a lot of times, if you go to computers here, go to
See, I make masterpieces and laugh at your bars. Take a hint. I'm leaving footprints in the path of the stars. Place all your egos on the top shelf. Cause victory's in the preparation for the game, not the game itself. Now when I die, I'm gonna fly with the angels. And when I die to the angels, where I'll
let's go to computer accessories. Let me just show off. Let's go to PCs. Let's go to laptops, because laptops are more popular than nowadays than that of desktops. Which makes sense because desktops are cluttered and big. But you have the common laptops like the HP ones. This laptop right here, this is the HP. HP, it has 8 GB of RAM, 128 GB SSD, AMD Radeon graphics, Windows 11. Now, this operating system isn't like the most terrible computer. Like right now, it actually doesn't look like a terrible deal. But HP has been kind of known to just kind of sell kind of junk computer products. Like, to be honest, they work for like a little bit, then they break. Yeah, they're cheap, flimsy keyboards. They're just bad. Most of the time, they're just bad. So I recommend, like, if you do buy a computer, recommend a lot of times if you can deal with used computing, you can actually just buy something like a Lenovo ThinkPad. Like, I can buy myself like a ThinkPad. I know that's spelled it wrong, but you can find them for pretty cheaply on eBay. Like, I can find this one. I'm gonna say, like, this one. Right here, it's $299, so $300 machine, and it comes with like 11th generation i7 processor, which again, it's pretty good. It's actually not much different than a low-end chip. If I just go here, the processor here, the AMD Ryzen 3, the CPU is basically like the brain of the computer. Okay, so it has more to do with all the calculation of the calculating all the data. But if I compare it to it. And if I actually go into the benchmark, this program kind of shows you kind of how fast each one is. But the Intel, this is an older processor, okay? However, it runs at a slightly better speed, okay, 3.0 compared to 2.4, so it's a bit faster. There are same as threads and codes. Codes are like, think of it like codes. That's like how many like different rooms there are, and think of it like threads. It's like, I mean, let's come back to this. The CPU is like the brain of the computer. The clock speed is how fast it runs, and then like the core count is basically like how many, like let's say you have a group of people. You have 4 people. Each person has 2 hands, right? That's kind of like, you know, the amount of threads. So if you have like 16, you have like, you know, 2 hands. You have 4 people. You have 8 hands. That means it's a lot faster. While if you have only, let's say you have 2 people, but they only have 1 hand, they're a lot slower. So it kind of like has more to deal with how much you can do at the same time. Cache is basically like how much it can store for data, like for the most important of it. The more cache you have, the less latency you have, so loading in applications a little bit faster. TDP, this has to do with power consumption, but as you can tell here, this has 12 megs of cache, this has 4 megs. So this would have a much better latency, so when you load up applications, it's going to load up a lot quicker. The clock will be faster, so programs are going to run better. This is an old chip, but remember, just because the computer is new does not make it better. Oftentimes, older machines are better than the old or new ones. And as you can tell, this has a 14% improvement in performance despite being older. So this actually will give you better hardware in every way. And this has like 4 times the amount of memory, which means you can run 4 times as many applications. This has Windows 11 on it, okay? So if you want to use that operating system, or if you want to install Linux Mint, if you want something different, let's say you don't like Microsoft, you don't have to use it. This one is not a bad machine to buy if you are on a budget. Latitude. Dell Latitude is also a very good brand machine. So you can buy them for pretty cheaply. Like this one, I wouldn't recommend this one. This has a Pentium processor. Intel Pentiums, they don't make them anymore. They're pretty bad. So if you want to buy a machine, I recommend getting something with at least a minimum of like a 6th or 7th generation Intel Core i5 at minimum, or i7 CPU. At least 8 gigs of RAM. 250 gigabytes of storage. Anything less than that, I don't recommend it. And like this one, I can buy this one. This one has 8850. This has, you know, older machine, probably older, but it's 8th generation. 4.8 gigahertz, 16 gigs of RAM. It's $150. It's pretty cheap. It doesn't cost that much money. So if you want a budget, you can buy this thing. It's actually pretty good. You can install Linux on it. It will make it a lot faster, and it will just be more affordable. Now, if you want to buy something brand new, what I recommend doing is, I recommend going with Asus, because Asus actually has some pretty good deals. Let me show, like this one right here is actually a pretty good laptop. Intel XE graphics, i5 processor, good amount of storage. It's actually pretty good. It's pretty sleek. It looks like a MacBook. It's really nice looking, and it's really sleek. Acer laptop. Another thing you can also buy if you want. This is AI ready, blah blah blah. AI. It's funny how they put AI in everything. It means nothing. Just so you know, just because it says AI doesn't make it anything better. Computers in general inherently can do some AI. This is just meaningless mumbo jumbo nonsense. So just to know that. Core free processor, that's Core i3 is the newest variation of that. Integrated graphics. This is not a gaming computer, but it will do basic stuff. And this is like a $200 machine. And it will give you a decent screen, decent stuff. This is what I recommend if you're on a budget. Just buy this. It's pretty good. Especially for Black Friday. It's actually cheap. Oh my god, it's like $100 cheaper. Actually, this is not a bad machine. Now, is it as fast as this? Probably not, but it is brand new, so you do get a warranty, and you do get some more support. So, yeah. Let me go down to this. So, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment. I'm going to clock out.